Quello che più mi è piaciuto del film è che non è solo un semplice horror, fa paura e riesce anche genuinamente a spaventare, ma è anche una bellissima riflessione sul senso di colpa. Allo stesso tempo è vero però che si tratta di una pellicola che è aperta a più interpretazioni, quindi volevo sapere qual è la tua. Cosa rende secondo te Ghost Stories diverso dagli altri horror?
Well, what I like about this film, or what I like about some other horror films that I grew up with especially, was the psychological element to it, you know. That the idea that the most frightening things in the universe, us, and are contained mainly in this little organ here. You said about guilt, right? Yeah, I mean, I recognise it, and I think, well, it's real. You know, I always find it interesting when people say I don't believe in guilt. For me, it's like saying I don't believe in the sky. It's like, yeah, you can make an entire culture or a religion out of guilt and just hammer that home, and yeah, maybe too much. But I think the fact that human beings feel guilt and feel regret is completely natural. If you didn't feel guilt and regret, I wouldn't want to be around you, you know, because that would mean you didn't have empathy or you didn't reflect. Yeah, I think, given that guilt is pretty universal, I believe, it's not just Jews and Catholics, although I am Catholic and Jeremy and Andy are Jewish. I think it's everybody. It's relatable. I think, you know, we've all done things or not done things in our lives that we regret or that we wish we could change and we feel bad about. Some things you do in your life, you should feel bad about, you know. I think if you didn't have that, there'd be something missing.
Quindi, da un certo punto di vista, è un film in cui ci si può anche immedesimare.
Of course, absolutely, I can identify with it, yeah. I mean, thank God my life is not quite this horrifying. You know, this is a pretty horrifying story, but yeah, I think, just like I said, I think the greatest horror is within us. And those horror films that reflect that are always the most interesting to me, you know. Because, yeah, monsters are great and ghosts are great, you know, all of that stuff is brilliant, but the stuff I think that really, really stays with you is the stuff that makes you go, "Hi, is that me? Could that be going on in my own brain?" You know, I always know if I'm watching a horror film, say at home, I always know when it's working because I have to switch it off for like 30 seconds or something. I have to have a break, or I'll go and play a record or something, and I'll come back to it. Because it's started to get into my head, you know. It's easier to do that, or it's more effective to get into your head if it's about you than monsters, you know. Monsters are brilliant, I love monsters, but I think, yeah, the monsters in our brains are the worst.
Ghost Stories è tratto da un'opera teatrale e questo si nota particolarmente nell'ultima parte del film. Questo fatto, l'essere un'opera derivata da un'opera teatrale, ha influito in qualche modo sulla lavorazione del film?
I think so, yeah, I think so. And not only the fact that it was a play, and it is, you're right, there are elements to this film that are very theatrical. But not only that, both Andy and Jeremy love magic and illusion. And Andy is one of the best in the business at magic and illusion. I mean, he's a very, very well thought of magician. So he is used to creating illusions that fool people, and I think both he and Jeremy love that. They love messing with people's minds to comedic effect sometimes, and sometimes to horrifying effect. But I think all the time it's done in ghost stories, even though broadly it's in a horror situation, there's something kind of enjoyable about it. Because when some of those reveals happen, the audience, I think, can like it. They can kind of, because we like being fooled. You know, that's why people like magic. It's like people go and see magic shows or whatever. And Andy has done magic to me, and I don't want to know how it's done. You know, I like being fooled, and I think the audience are the same.
Ghost Stories.
Le cose non sono sempre ciò che sembrano.
Dal 19 aprile al cinema. Non perdere il film in anteprima, venerdì 13 aprile.